what kind of rituals or practices do you do? Do you tend to do something before performances, before recordings and stuff?
Usually, like,
I mean, backstage, and
or even the day of. Like, I guess you probably have a morning practice that you do in general. Or
I'm flattered by you thinking that way.
But we do a backstage thing more. I wouldn't say 100% of the time, but most of the time. Laaraji gets very, very, very quiet, and I know to let that go and let him go, because he's going in his way, and I'll do whatever I'm doing, and then shortly before, without saying anything, we both are very respectful of Tai Chi, and I did Tai Chi practice for many years, so we'll do our own version of like a push hands, so that here again, energy will come together and just like move with just to kind of get into each other's energy flow at that moment.
Yes, so that translates on stage as a flowiness rather than a push, than a competition, that we're blending into the blending experience of being on stage. I also work when I'm touring a lot. I backstage do 5 rhythms dancing backstage to get into flow, staccato, chaos, lyrical, and stillness. Also do some laughing. Also do mind science affirmations. Everything I need for this concert to come off beautiful, I now have. And another thing I call beyonddeck. You sit on a piece of paper backstage. You just write all the quotes you imagine people will be sharing with you after the performance, assuming you did a great performance. You're like, wow, that's great. Where can I get your recordings? I'll just write those down to actually project the idea of a successful performance.
It's like a vision board.
So you
worked
a lot with affirmations in your life.
Yes, I do believe them. I believe that has gotten me very far.
Much less, but yes, I have. Laaraji did a very deep commitment to mind science.
The good affirmations, what they do is they shift the emotional field, and you get to and shift your mental equivalent so that you are in the present moment rather than going toward it or wanting it. You can say you trick your mind. The subconscious mind doesn't know what's real or false, and just like a little child, there's a boogeyman, and the child, really? But you, but then you talk, I am prepared to deliver a most spectacular concert, and I'm delivering it. All the instruments and the equipment I need for this evening are right at my fingertips. I am in great shape, and this is good. With Tai Chi, there is this, you get your body to move a certain way so that when you interact with an instrument, the music is a byproduct of your intentions interacting with this musical medium. So the music tends to be softer or more fluid. So there's getting into your body first as your first instrument and letting your voice become an extension of this. So affirmations kind of allow me to baptize myself in an intention and make it real. And it's vocal, it's verbal. There's 3 ways of doing an affirmation. I can just recite it first person. I, Laaraji, am here and ready to offer a most beautiful concert, and I'm really prepared for this. I can block my ears so that I hear my own voice through bone-conducted sound. That's another way. And then third, I can look in a mirror and make eye contact with myself. It says, you, Laaraji, are most talented. And this evening you are bringing a most beautiful experience. And you just talk yourself into this space. And affirmations, and also you give thanks. Good affirmations, you always give thanks as if it is already happening. So now this is a big leap for someone who is not aware of their ability, of the creative mind, creativity. You can create your life. If you can imagine a different reality, you can create it. And what mind can conceive man can achieve, something of that order. If you can conceive it, and conceiving it means not just thinking about it being in the future, but if you can conceive it as being right now, this means overturning what the world is presenting as a reality. And you can live in this alternative reality, even if it's for 5 minutes of affirmations. You are planting seeds for your transformational existence.
When did you get into mind science? Like, how did that? Because this is also yoga, of course.
Yes.
Yogic theory and Buddhism in a way, but
I got into mind science by confronting a fear. I was getting on a bus going somewhere, and there were several seats empty. One of them was near the most beautiful woman in the world. And I confronted my fear and dared to sit next to the woman. And I sat next to her. And she was reading a book so intently, and she smiled at me, and she allowed me to eavesdrop on what she was reading. And she was reading something by either mind science or Thomas Trower. And I got more interested in the book than her. And I took notes on the book, on how I could get it, and I went to the Mind Science Center in New York and purchased the book and got deep into mind science because I took this leap of actually doing something new and outrageous.
well,
And Thomas.
This was about in the
70s?
Probably in the 70s. I think after I got into meditation, and because the book, I remember reading the book, and the book aligned with meditation. The book talks about using mind, that you can shift your reality if you can shift the way you are channeling thought.
And Thomas Troward was, Judge Thomas Troward's writings are what inspired Ernest Holmes, who is credited as being the father of mind science. So that's the Troward. And I got excited when Laaraji said that, because I remembered early on that 2008 when we met at the Healing Sounds Intensive, we stayed up one night and talked all night in the lobby area, and he was amazed, I was amazed that we both knew Troward.
Yeah.
And we intersected with that, because that can be obscure.
Yeah,
a lot of
had
people.
you come across it?
Oh yeah,
When did you come across
I
it?
came across it. My daughter's godfather, who was very esoteric man. He was friends with Harold Sherman and Edgar Casey, and he and his wife were. My daughter's named after his wife, and he introduced me when I was. Before Aliki was even born, I was probably late 20s, early 30s, to Troward. He gave me my first 3 volumes of Thomas Troward's work. And at first they seemed so dense. They,
They're
like
very
dry.
scientific. If you have a good scientific mind, you'll drink it up. I heard one report of one of teachers of Trower's work said Judge Thomas Troward, who was in Edinburgh,
Right,
Scotland,
Edinburgh, Scotland.
that his lectures were so dense and monotonous, some people would fall asleep. But the books themselves, I feel like I'm carrying the key to a parallel future.
They're remarkable, and you can do them in little bites. You can do a paragraph
Yes.
and just close the book, and pick it up and open it at random and just close it.
A note on that. I did gung-ho. I found that I could read a word at a time and drink it in, and I took it in deeper. Like if it said, the cat ran up the stairs, I was at the. What does the mean? Cat. Ran. What does ran mean? Up. What does up mean? The. Stairs. I would integrate that dense material that way, and I would feel myself leaping in bounds, taking it in, because I knew, for one thing, that was strong evolutional material, and secondly, that issue of people of color was how to neutralize residual slave mind mentality. And this material I saw was a key for me of neutralizing any residual slave mentality or mindset.
Did you feel that in your own mind, like growing up? And
I feel that from my folks and my relatives that there's a holdover from the slave period, everything from the way that they handle discipline, to food, to language, to mindset, that idea of racial superiority and inferiority. You just quantum leap all over that when you're dealing with mind. Mind science says the mind is God. Mind is, and we're talking about not the mind that thinks. It's the mind that is pure I am.
The nous.
Yes, nous, the now mind. It doesn't think, and you can get it to think, but then you get into. I consider that the forbidden fruit. If you nibble on linear thought, you're taking yourself into the rabbit holes. But just pure mind is God. It's creative intelligence, and if one can isolate that and get into it and contemplate it and work with it and serve it, that they can lift themselves out of stubborn platforms of life and enter new sunlit fields.